Welcome to All Home Care Matters, the show where we discuss all things home care, with discussions on important age-related matters and topics. Brought to you by Enriched Life Home Care Services, the #1 rated home care provider in Michigan by Top Rated Local.
Hello, and welcome back to All Home Care Matters. If this is your first time visiting us here at the show, we want to say thank you for taking time out to be with us today. We appreciate how valuable everyone's time is, and that's why we try and make each episode here at All Home Care Matters something that will hopefully matter to you. Today, we are honored to welcome the co-founder of StackCare. Welcome, Nathalie.
Thank you, Lance, for having me. I'm very excited to be on your podcast today.
It's our pleasure. So, Nathalie, you're the co-founder of StackCare, and for our viewers and listeners who may not be familiar with what StackCare is, would you mind explaining that to us?
Of course. So StackCare is a passive monitoring system, a remote passive monitoring system. And the beauty of it is that all we use to monitor elderly people or vulnerable people is little motion sensors, infrared motion sensors. I have one in my hand right now, which is basically the size of my thumb, so very discreet, no flashing lights. And we set these sensors up in the key areas of activity in a person's home: bedroom, bathroom, favorite room, and kitchen. And with these little sensors, we're able to detect any issues that might be happening while that person is alone. You know, this could be a potential fall, this could be any developing health issues. So it goes way beyond, your traditional emergency button system, which just, has to be pressed if there's a problem. And passive is the great thing about this system, because people don't actually have to do anything. Once this system is set up in a person's home, there is no interaction required, nothing to press, nothing to push, nothing to charge. And it's very private. There are no cameras, no microphones. These little motion sensors really measure only motion, which we say is 1 or 0. There's motion or no motion. And we do that every 3 to 4 seconds. So we're very, very accurate in our measurements. And then, obviously using AI and data science, we're able then to understand what a person's typical habits and routines are. After a couple of days, we have established a baseline. So it goes very quickly. And if anything is out of the ordinary, if the person hasn't gotten up at the certain time that they usually do, or if they're using the bathroom excessively compared to what they usually do. So they're the baseline. We monitor their activity, not them. And, any kind of changes is what really will indicate that there's a problem. And then our system will then send out an alert or a notification to families, to caregivers, whoever has this app on their phone, or for professionals when we work with home care agencies or even communities. They have access to a portal where they can see all their clients, either on their desktop browser or on their app, on the go or at the office. Does that summarize it?
Well, so would you say you really are targeting like home care and home health care companies, or is this something that just a family could get to monitor their mom or their dad or their loved one?
Right. Everybody can get it. So for one thing, we are, we have a website. So there's a product out there for the consumer where the families would have the app and have access to all the information for their loved one and set it up. Installation takes about 20 minutes. It's very simple, very intuitive. Even also the usage of the app is quite intuitive. And but we do work a lot with professionals, home care agencies, home health care, and also communities, independent living, assisted living, memory care. So the system is a little bit different according to, who's using it. But the idea is the same. Basically, What it does is that it notices if there's a problem when the person is alone, when they need help. So that's how it sends out these alerts.
What was the motivation for coming up with this product? Did you have a personal story that resonated? Okay.
Absolutely. So, interestingly, everybody has a story. So I think everybody can understand how the system can work. My personal story was that, I was very close to my grandmother. This is over 15 years ago now. She's passed away, obviously, but if we had had a system like StackCare, that would have really been, wonderful. She fell, and even though she was living with my aunt, who was, over 20 years younger, my aunt was out getting her hair done, whatever. She was out for 4 hours. My grandmother fell right at the beginning of this, this time frame that my aunt was out and basically laid on the ground for 4 hours before she was found. And by that time, the longer somebody lies on the ground, the worse the consequences are and the worse the outcome is. And they basically have complications that are not even due to the direct injury of the fall, but to all sorts of other things. When in her case, she broke her ribs. Obviously, she was trying to get herself up, dehydration. I mean, a lot of things. And a month later, she had passed away. So if we'd had a system like StackCare, where my aunt would have had this system on her phone, she could have seen that there was a problem. She could have come home, helped my grandmother. We would have really avoided such a rough month for her, which she was in the hospital. I mean, some stage we all have to go, but it's nice if it's not that, harsh. And another story is for my father-in-law, who had cognitive decline and a lung disease, and he was always going out into wandering, going out into the street in the middle of the night because he felt like he needed to get some air. And my mother-in-law really didn't sleep for the last years of his life, because she was just always worried that something would happen. So having an app like that, a system like that in place, would have allowed her to go out, have a break, and even get some sleep at night and not always worry about what was happening.
So for viewers and listeners who most of them may be familiar with things like Life Alert and Rapid Response and these different other, tech devices for aging in place and for senior safety, when your grandmother had fallen and your aunt, let's say you had StackCare at the home at that time, and as soon as she had fallen, what would have the response been with StackCare at that point? Would it have notified the aunt, or would it have sent some kind of alarm to somebody so that they know that there's an issue?
Yes. So the system does not send out an alert to 911 or any, kind of emergency services like that. It goes only to the people who have the app. So that would be my aunt, the family, the family of the person, or even a caregiver, depending, when we work with home care agencies or in a facility, obviously the director of nursing or whoever, the caregiver staff, whoever has the app. So the alert goes out saying that there's a lack of activity. Because in her case, she wasn't in any of the zones where the sensors were placed, so she was in her hallway. But it could be all sorts of other things. It does detect it has various ways of detecting that there was a potential fall. So we like to say it's a potential fall because we're not a camera. We are a sensor system. So we can't actually see what's happening. But when there's a lack of activity or a bathroom overstay, that's where a lot of accidents happen at night. So for instance, at night, our bathroom overstays will send out an alert if the person is in the bathroom for more than 15 minutes, because that's not normal. That's unusual. So we will send out an alert saying that there's a problem, that they need to go check in with their loved one, give them a call, go over, however you can set it up, maybe ask a neighbor to go check in on that person, or, there's multiple ways of checking in on the person to seeing if they're okay.
So and we're going to have the website up here on the screen, and as well as in the show notes for our viewers and listeners. But if they're wondering right now, is this a contract-based service? Is it a month-to-month service? Is it a one-time fee service? Walk us through for onboarding a new family or a new home care company or facility who's going to use StackCare. What's that process like?
Right. So it's obviously different depending on who's actually buying the product. So let's start with the families. If they go onto our website, they can order the system. It's $95 a month. It's a subscription-based program. We do not charge for the hardware. The hardware is actually quite expensive, but we do not want that to be a reason for people not to benefit from this wonderful system. So you don't have to buy the hardware. We just ask if you can return it when you're finished with it for some reason. But it's a $95 subscription, and once you've you set it up, you can cancel anytime if there for some reason you don't need it anymore. For our professional partners, home care agencies, the subscription is $55 a month. So it's a bit different. It works a little bit different because obviously they're also providing the service to the families of monitoring and responding to issues, giving them that peace of mind, and also working with the data that our system provides to offer the best possible care to their clients. And for communities, the same thing. That's a whole different kind of pricing, and that's something that will, when we have a request, we will price it out depending on the size of the facility, the size of the rooms, and so on.
Sure.
And each kit, by the way, also just to kind of clarify, so it comes with we have the gateway. That's the only thing that needs to be plugged in. So that's just a 4x4 inches size. Very easy, to you kind of tend to find a place that's a little bit hidden so that nobody unplugs it by accident. The little sensors, they get attached to the wall with command strips. So they come on and off very simply, no drilling. So we provide 4 of those, as I was saying, for the key areas of activity. We also do provide a help button so that people, if they do want to press something, if they want to have immediate attention, that help button sends out an alert that will go out within 3 to 7 seconds of being pressed to say we need help. So we recommend to fix this onto the wall in the bathroom, in the bedroom, but sometimes people even have it on their favorite armchair, so that if they don't feel well or if they need help, they can call for immediate help, from their loved one or their caregivers. And we also provide what we say, these little contact sensors. They're very small. Also, they get affixed to the exit door so that we can detect if somebody's wandering, leaving the home at odd times of the day, and also to the refrigerator, because our system is then able to see if somebody is, for instance, spending enough time and opening the fridge enough to justify that they're actually having meals, because a lot of times seniors will forget to eat, or malnutrition is one of the big issues, where about 30% of the elderly people that arrive in the hospitals are malnourished, which I thought was a very
sad,
remarkable statistic, to know this. So as I say, the system looks at all these different things and helps you really detect any issues early on, which helps people stay safe and healthy for as long as possible. In other words, it helps them stay independent. It's not about monitoring them. It's not about checking in on them like Big Brother's watching you. It's just about keeping them safe and healthy so that if there's an issue, you can respond when treatment is most effective. Our system runs with Wi-Fi, but we will have, end of March, we will have an solution available for people that don't have Wi-Fi, which, will be just working off any cell tower, of any mobile, plan that you might have.
I want to
ask
a little
bit.
Well, sure, because you're paying for that constant connectivity. I wanted to ask about the exit sensor real quick, Nathalie, because I know a situation where a person had gone outside and they wanted to go right over to their mailbox, a few feet from their door, and they had fallen, and it was in the middle of winter, and of course it gets dark very early, and they were not able to get up, and this could have been very almost lethal if their neighbor hadn't just happened to be leaving at the same time and saw them laying there. And how far do the exit sensors from outside of your door, how far do they pick up activity from that point?
So the exit sensors are contact sensors. All they do is they
only
pick
for
up
opening
the door.
and closing. Okay, gotcha.
But what would have happened in the case of this person is that we would have sent out a notification. Our system would have sent out an alert saying lack of activity. There's no activity detected in the house, because it's assumed that the person is at home. So it would definitely have helped her within the hour, that somebody could have come and checked in on her and see what's happening.
Well, this is truly life-saving technology. It's not, like you said, it's not playing Big Brother. You're not spying on people. Because I know for a lot of the families and seniors that we help provide support services to and things, their loved one is usually, older. And so they've been independent for so many years. And, anytime you introduce something new, there's pushback, or there's, they're hesitant, or, they're not open to any sort of change. And I can respect that as, being an independent adult for, 60, 70 years, and this isn't spying on them. This isn't keeping notes on them. This is to me, it's almost like having a fire extinguisher in your home. Right? It's there in case you need it. It doesn't mean you're going to burn your house down, but that one small chance that something does happen, you're at least prepared and you have a plan in place to help protect you.
Exactly. I always like to say it's a bit like the airbag that you have in your car.
Or an airbag.
Hopefully, I've never had an airbag blow up, because I've never had an accident, but the day I have it, I'll be happy that, that the airbag is there with StackCare. And life-saving, I want to kind of chime in on that, because I can actually give some true stories of how we've saved life recently, For instance, we had this one lady who fell on her head, but she got up. So our system did not send out an alert immediately because it wasn't necessary. She was up and about, but she fell on her head. And I was actually just reading a statistics about, how that happens a lot when people fall. And it turns out that she had a concussion, but nobody knew this.
Mm.
And she felt cold. She didn't feel good. So she went into her living room and she turned up the heat real high. And because we also measure temperature, and the temperature monitor then sent out an alert saying it's over 93 degrees.
Wow.
And so her daughter, the home care agency that was, were working with them, both responded to this and checked in on it and checked in on her. As a matter of fact, they also had cameras in that home, and they looked at those cameras afterwards and they saw the fall on the camera. But there's the problem. The camera did not send out an alert to say that this person had fallen. And she was literally passed out in her chair from the concussion and the heat, and our system helped. Or another client who recently, this lady always has 3 to 5 visits, bathroom visits a day, and all of a sudden the chart shot up. It's very visual. You can, when you look at our app, shot up to 17 visits, So you can always see the graph, what's her typical behavior, and that's everybody's different. So somebody might use the bathroom more than 3 to 6 times, but in her case, that was her typical behavior. I called her. Generally don't do so much monitoring, but in this case I did. I called her. I said, you think, are you okay? And she says, well, listen, I can't talk to you. I'm on the toilet right now. So I'm like, okay, you might want to check in with your doctor. And she did. She got antibiotics. And if I showed you the graph right now, you would see it literally within 2 days went straight back down to her normal 3 to 5, 6 visits a day. And, UTIs are a big cause also of hospitalization.
Right.
And I just found out other things that, for instance, constipations can even lead to UTIs, which I didn't know. I just found that out through a doctor. And I'm like, we see that too, that somebody is spending a lot of time in the bathroom. We've seen people spend 2 hours in the bathroom.
Wow.
And they haven't fallen. There's activity in there, but that there's an issue. They're not in there because they want to be in there for that long. There's obviously a problem. So it's very interesting. There's so many case studies of how we can literally save life. Or even this one person who has cognitive decline who turned on her gas fireplace in the middle of the summer. It turned up to be we got the alert at 93 degrees, but it went up to 117 degrees in her house.
Oh. Wow.
And she passed out in her chair, but she said, no, I felt cold. I'm like, so even this little temperature measurements is also helpful in seeing, that there might be an issue.
So a lot of seniors, some don't have internet in the house, so they won't have Wi-Fi. So like we're here in Michigan, and I was sharing with you, we just came through what they're calling the worst ice and winter storm in over 50 years for our state. We were without power. We were without internet. When we finally got our power back on, then the water main had broken on our street. I mean, it's just been horrendous what's been going on here. And there's still people with several dozen thousand people without power still to right now. Can you tie your StackCare device to a cell phone and work off of the internet from the cell phone?
Yes,
like
absolutely. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Right. And it can work. Yes. So the cellular data, that's what we're doing. That's what they're actually being shipped as we speak from, and the gateways that provide this LTE connection, that you can just work off a cell tower. And it's not 100% there yet, but basically within the next few weeks, we'll be able to offer that.
So right now, though, like when we were without power, I was using my laptop and I just used my phone as a hotspot and connected the internet through my phone. Can you do that right now with StackCare? Right
now you can't. Right now you do need the Wi-Fi. So that I don't believe you can. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think that'll get really complicated.
But I mean, it's coming in March this month. It's coming.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
The other interesting thing, talking about power outs, for instance, I have one friend who uses it with his grandmother, who's 95, lives by herself on 12 acres.
Wow.
He set it up. She didn't want it at first, and honestly, after a few days, they actually forget it's there. It's just like another security system and so on. So, and she had a power out, but it wasn't as drastic as your winter storm. But she did have a power out, and she lives out in the country, and he got, because we will send out a notification saying that the system is offline when it is offline, which is either power out or an internet outage. So he was able to go and check in on his grandma and help her. I don't remember what the cause was of the power out, whether it was, but at least he knew about it, so that was actually quite helpful.
No, it's wonderful. So it sounds like with StackCare, you're getting a lot of data-driven analytics to help support the person using the system. What are some other ways that StackCare differs from some of the more commercially known security or safety devices?
Well, as for instance, we're talking like, let's talk about audio. Audio is something that comes up a lot these days. There's some companies that are quite, they're pushing it very hard. I'm not going to name them.
Sure.
But, I think audio is a privacy thing. For instance,
Right.
the system that I'm talking about records everything. And when there's an issue that they can listen. First of all, it's very data heavy. So you as a user, as a home care agency or as a professional have to go back in there and actually listen to all this recording. And, you have to have that. So it's not sent to you in the same way as our system does. But the other thing is also everything gets recorded. So there might be some really private information. And as you know, in some states, it's actually, you can't just record people. You have to have their, you have to, for HIPAA reasons. By the way, we're HIPAA compliant also. We're very keen, on making sure everything is very safe and, the privacy is respected. But another thing is also, imagine having audio. So you don't have a camera in your bathroom, but you have audio. I mean, that's kind of embarrassing, I think, for our seniors. So that's where I see the drawback, but the camera, just the same thing. So that whole privacy thing. And then the buttons, as I say, the buttons, yes, they're good when the person is conscious. But, most people, when they fall, a lot of the falls happen at night, happen between the bedroom and the bathroom somewhere, either or in between. Well, most of the time, most people I know are not grabbing their pendant when they go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And so they might have an issue, they might fall, and they might not even actually be able to press any button because they don't have it, it's in their bedside table or, and a lot of times they don't like to press it either because they don't want to have, the EMTs show up. Sometimes it's just a small problem. They just need a little help. I know one person she has some kind of muscular problems with her legs. I forget what the disease is called, but she couldn't get up from the toilet. She hadn't fainted, she hadn't fallen, but she couldn't get up. And thanks to our system, the system sent out an alert saying that there was a bathroom overstay. That was during the daytime, but her son could come and help her and get up, and help her instead of having the EMTs come and knock down your door, So
Right.
That's where I see the advantage as well.
Well, and I also, for us, dealing with a lot of families here, we've had situations with families we're not with 24/7. So we might go from, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then the staff leaves and they return the next morning. So that person's by themselves from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., just as an example. And several times over the years, different people where we have left, they have had a fall after we have already left the home. And they would either have a bracelet or a pendant, and they don't even think to push it. Or if they have that motion sensor, add-on, if you will, the motion sensor didn't even detect that they had the fall. And it's just it's really scary for these families because they're paying a lot of money for these services, and then when the time comes that it actually is supposed to do its job, it wouldn't do the job it's supposed to do. Have you heard that from other families that have started using StackCare, experiences with these other companies?
Yes, absolutely. And, the nice thing is also, as I say, there's no interaction required, like the person can be confused. They might not be knocked out, but they might be too confused to press a button. They might not have it with them. The camera might not have detected it, as the story that I told you, there was a camera there, but it didn't send out the alert. The audio, the audio might not have jumped on, but even our system also does help even with additional things like nutrition. Are they eating? Are they sleeping well? And you can actually even look at the data and you can look at the trends of maybe they're developing cognitive decline. I mean, there's a multitude of things. I always like to say small but mighty, but definitely it is, it's remarkable how much this system can actually help families and also these people that are alone. And I want to kind of bring up this statistic, which I found so interesting and so remarkable, because it really shows you how this system helps seniors stay independent and healthy for longer. And, this is also a matter of cost, keeping people out of the hospital, keeping people out of the senior living facilities. it's a pretty big deal,
Right.
for the care budget for a family. So if you can intervene early and help them early, you will prevent the worst emergencies, and you can provide treatment when it's still most effective. Like my grandmother, if she'd been found earlier, she wouldn't have had all these complications and the whole horrible month in the hospital. So actually, I forgot the thread of what I was going to say. But anyway, yes. So giving these people the help early on, the statistics, that's right. The University of Missouri has a Center for Elder Care Technology and Rehabilitation. They have just recently renamed them, so it's a little bit under a different name right now, but that's how they've been working for the last, I believe, 23 years. And they did a long-term study in a independent living facility that's affiliated with the university. It's their research, their research facility. They set up the care, good care with the residents, and a passive monitoring system, which wasn't StackCare. It doesn't matter. The idea is the same.
Right.
But you set this up and you provide good care and you detect any issues early on to help people stay better for longer. They were able to increase the time spent in independent living from 1.8 to 4.3 years.
Wow.
That's a huge statistic. So that's great for families, but it's also great for businesses,
Right.
Like you're going to keep your clients for longer if you have a technology which doesn't rely on somebody pressing a button or a camera that you have to look at or audio that you have to listen to for hours, but it just kind of sends you very easily these alerts. So you can passively wait for the alerts to come in, respond to them, help the person, and you can proactively look at all the data that the system is providing you on your dashboard, on your app, and see, oh, this person is developing sundowning. Maybe we should change the care hours. This person isn't eating in the evenings. Maybe we provide the care in the afternoon and not in the morning. There's a lot of things where you can adjust your care for that person to adapt to their special needs.
Yeah, no, that's remarkable. What's some of the feedback you've received from healthcare professionals?
Oh, they generally love it. And I know, some people that really have this set up with their own families, because that's where it really, when you really experience it yourself, people that are real professionals that really, know a lot about, director of compliance and this and that, and once they actually have set it up, even with their own loved ones, they just see the value of it and they say it's tremendous. It's tremendous we're not a medical device, but all the information that you can retrieve from this simple system. And it's very, very easy to understand. Our app and our platforms are extremely easy to navigate, very visual. As I say, you have a spike with a UTI, all of a sudden you have a bar that goes up like this, you can see it. You don't even need to analyze it. It's quite obvious. So yes, the response is good.
Where do you see StackCare, Nathalie, in the next 5 years?
That's a great question. So hopefully expanding across the world, but right now in the States, so we're expanding rapidly. We're expanding a lot in memory care facilities right now, but I really think, interestingly, that we will get a lot more traction also even in independent living. We're just part of a big home care company has introduced us to a big independent living facility in this area where I am here in Virginia, Northern Virginia, using StackCare as one of the ways to keep people well in their rooms, in their residences, because as a lot of people that are in independent living should probably be in assisted living, and a lot of people in assisted living should be in memory care. So this system is very helpful, and this home care company, which provides the services to independent living facility, is able to actually combine that in a care bundle with StackCare, to keep these people healthier and safer. I also see the future more and more towards combining the passive monitoring part of our product with our RPM, remote patient monitoring, blood pressure and all that. You combine that in a package and you just have a beautiful system. We're talking more and more about healthcare at home, taking people out of the hospitals, and treating them at home. I'm sure you are aware of that. And so that's where I really see the future. We're not that much with home healthcare companies. I will say that because, that's a different setup also for the financial reasons and Medicare and this, all that, I don't really actually know all these details. And that's another thing I see in the future that, Medicaid and Medicare Advantage will start actually paying for these systems. We are working with PACE programs across, in Pennsylvania, actually, I think even in Michigan, but because you want to try to keep the people out of the nursing homes.
Right.
For the minimum investment of StackCare, you can really save thousands of dollars by keeping people independent and safe in their own home.
When you multiply that over thousands of people too, I mean, and you're talking significant financial savings. I think StackCare is tremendous, and I just wish you guys nothing but the best, and I hope our viewers and listeners will visit the website to learn more. We're going to be starting a short video here that you were kind enough to provide us with to give a more visual representation, and we'll have you back again in the future to learn about all the new exciting things that StackCare is doing.
Wonderful. I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nathalie. You're welcome. You have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Let's take a look at StackCare in the home. StackCare uses discrete sensors to track and monitor motion activities of older adults. Simple and straightforward installation takes around 20 minutes. The resident continues their normal routine with no cameras or wearables required. StackCare senses relay activity data 24/7 to a secure cloud where intelligent data science analyzes typical activity patterns. Predictive analytics highlight changes in daily routine, which could indicate issues with an individual's health or wellness. Bathroom changes could be resulting from a urinary tract infection, for example. StackCare automatically sends real-time alerts to notify caregivers and families of potential issues. Notifications help enable quick response in the case of potential falls, bathroom risks, nighttime wandering, and more. StackCare also indicates sleep hours and inbuilt analytics for caregivers. StackCare's dashboard provides real-time feedback, whether by phone, tablet, or computer with automatic synchronization. Escalation systems mean alerts will never be missed. Dashboard indicators make it easy for office staff to see notifications and know when someone is responding. Our Share the Care feature lets families view their loved one's information and receive all notifications, especially when care providers are off duty. StackCare allows home care providers to proactively intervene, helping reduce the risk of hospitalizations or long-term care placements, enabling optimal care while providing peace of mind for families.
Thank you for joining us today here at All Home Care Matters. All Home Care Matters is here to help families as they navigate these long-term care issues. We invite you to visit us at allhomecarematters.com, where there's a private, secure, fillable form where you can give us feedback, show ideas, or if you have questions. Every form is read and responded to. And remember, you can listen to the show on any of your favorite podcast streaming platforms or watch the show on our official YouTube channel. Just make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. We'd also like to say thank you again to Nathalie for joining us today to share about StackCare. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next time here at All Home Care Matters.
Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to you joining us again on another episode of All Home Care Matters. To learn more about the show and to connect with us, visit us at allhomecarematters.com.